Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Final Fantasy 13 walkthrough. We're just gonna develop our characters a little bit here in the Crysarium, and then we will continue on. Alright. So it looks like I finally got Hope's Ravager, as well as, I think did I finish his Synergist role? I think that was. And we've got Commando done and Ravager done for Lightning, which again, you know, those are the roles that I use the most with those two for the time being. I'm really not too concerned about the medic role for Lightning. Actually, even really the medic level or role for Hope. I just really don't do a whole lot of healing at this point in the game. But, alright, anyway, so what we got here? A bunch of frag leeches. Nothing special here. We'll take these guys down fairly quickly.
Be ready for the next fight.
Yeah. Alright, nice. Target time was 40 and we did it in 20. Not too shabs. Is this the... Alright, so this might be the, this might be the spot where they... Oh, yeah, so the frag leeches are worth a bunch of CP. So, like, if you feel like you need to, you can ride the elevator up and down here to respawn the frag leeches. To be honest, I really didn't feel like it was worth it. Yeah, so they're respawned up there now, but, you know, I don't know. If you, like I said, if you really want to, if you feel like you need the extra CP right now, go right ahead. For me though, I really just don't like this spot. Number one,
no holding back.
No, I didn't feel like I needed the CP for one thing, and then two was these things just don't drop really good items. So they, you know, they'll drop you like organic materials like the gummy oil and stuff. But to be honest, basically when you're trying to level your items, what is it here? The organic materials seem to be really cheap in comparison to the inorganic material. So typically what I'll do is you know, just worry more about the inorganic materials. And like I said, so for drops and whatnot, I wouldn't be concentrating on the organic materials. If these things dropped like some really good inorganic materials, that might be a different story, but you know, unfortunately not the case. So that is not something that I felt was a good use of time. Here I monkeyed around with this Alpha Behemoth a little bit there to get him into a preemptive, and that was definitely worth the time there. So definitely something I would recommend if you can, you know, if you want to. Otherwise, you can just try to take this guy down without. I mean, look at how fast that is, though. That's just crazy. And that's the 14 seconds. So that's the difference between having a preemptive strike on an enemy that's got a really high stagger threshold and a ton of health. You know, it just, to be honest, it just makes all the difference in the world. It makes the fight, you know, ridiculous. Anyways, alright, let's move on. Let's get this, we got here a couple of Vespids. Nothing too fancy here. Once again, I think, so these guys, if I remember right, to drop, like, barbed, I think it's barbed tails. So, let's see here. I'm gonna check just in case. I'm pretty sure those are organic materials. Maybe even molted tail? Does that sound right? Yeah, but anyways, both of them are organic materials. So I will, again, same with these, or same thing with the frag leeches. I wouldn't spend any time really worrying about these guys too much. I really feel like in this game there's some really specific farming spots that I feel are really worth the time, and I'll definitely be pointing those out once we get there. But to be honest, they're not for quite some time. They're a ways up yet. so not really something that you need to worry about. So that's the other thing now. You know, I think I brought it up earlier there when what is it called? Upgrading equipment finally becomes available. I just really don't feel like it's worth it at that time. And it's mostly because of availability. Number one, it's just really difficult to make money at this point in the game. And then on top of that, the items that you obtain from enemies right now are also really not worth the time to farm, I'd say. They're just... You're going to spend a ton of time farming, and I mean, it really doesn't feel like it's worth it because you're not getting much out of your time. So yeah, so like I said, you know, I feel like there's some really specific points where it makes sense to farm, and others not so much in other areas. And you know, again, I'll definitely point those out. I even in this specific playthrough, I kind of found another one that I really like more than some of the other ones that I had previously been using. So, you know, I'll definitely point that out too. But I'm not sure if it's for everybody or not. I really don't know. You know, it's one of those things you kind of got to make up your mind on your own on what you want to do. But again, I really like this spot. I actually prefer it to one of my old spots. So, anyways, back to the task at hand. Actually, to be honest, there's not a whole lot as far as tactics here. One of the things I would say, you know, and we've brought it up, or I've brought it up a couple of times already, is especially at the beginning of the game here, where you're first really learning how the game works. I think a lot of people have troubles, or I think a lot of trouble comes from not understanding what the commando, or really what all the roles really do for you. And one of the things I mean by that is, like, for instance, the commando and saboteur. You know, they reduce the decay of your chain gauge, and so you might be tempted to just, you know, stick to like a bunch of Ravagers, because it seems like they upgrade, or they really bring up the chain gauge fast. Well, the problem is, though, if you don't have some way of reducing its decay, all of the Ravagers in the world aren't going to help you out. You're just going to end up with, you know, a rapidly decaying chain gauge, and yeah, you'll get a couple of good licks in, but then it's gonna decay back to nothing, and you'll be right back down to square one. So it's just really important to know what the commando and saboteur do for your chain gauge at this point in the game. So you know, again, I guess just keep that in mind. You're generally, you know, especially with the initial hits on an enemy, you're going to want to have, you know, a commando or saboteur get a couple of hits in, and then once you've got a couple of good hits on them, then you can swap to your, you know, heavy Ravager rolls. Now here I was trying to get a preemptive. It's not looking like it's going to happen though. It looks like he's just all these enemies are just stopped and facing me. So I went with the Deceptisol. We've got so many of them, or I've got so many of them right here, that I felt like it was worth it. Definitely focus the Alpha Behemoth down first. Don't worry about the Fexterans yet. We'll take them down. Yeah, look at this thing. It's already half dead. It's ridiculous. It's so good. And that launch is so good. So that's it's one of the interesting things too about the different characters and their roles in this game, is not everybody's going to get access to launch when they are in the commando role. And that goes for everything across all the roles. That's kind of why some characters are really good in specific roles, or better than others in specific roles. And you know, I'll try to point that kind of stuff out once it becomes more relevant. But for the time being, like a good instance is Lightning can launch where Saz cannot.
I wonder how the others are doing.
Saz and Vanille? Who knows? Even if they got away, they'll get caught eventually. Then they'll have to choose. Resist, or surrender.
Surrender. Huh. Do you think he's still alive?
You mean Snow? He's too stubborn to die. And that's his best quality. He's arrogant and chummy from the get-go. He thinks he's everybody's pal. Never liked him much. He leads around a bunch of kids. Gang called Nora.
Where'd they get the name Nora?
It's a stupid acronym. Their little code stands for no obligations, rules, or authority. Must be nice.
It's irresponsible.
Well then.
Alright, let's save up here. Boy, how do you like Lightning talking about Nora? I don't know. That conversation was just kind of funny to me. Calls themselves Nora. I think they're okay. I think their heart's in the right place.
There are a lot of feral creatures here too.
Alright, anyways, let's continue on here.
This is an army facility for turning wildlife into weapons.
Civilians aren't allowed in here, are they?
We'll have to be sure and tell them if we see any.
Alright, so the army is turning wildlife into weapons. I guess they're making robo puppies. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing. Anyways, alright, so here's the deal with this area is basically there's fences up. And if any enemies are alive inside the fences, then the fences won't go down. So basically you have to kill everything. Which, you know, not that big of a deal since we've kind of been doing that anyway. But looks like did I get a preemptive on that guy? I must have, because he just dropped like a rock. Alright. Yeah, this set would have been a little more difficult to get a preemptive on. Alright, so the Silver Lobos here, I think they can poison you. But it didn't really, I don't know, whenever I got poisoned it really didn't seem like it made that much of a difference. So I don't know if I don't think I would waste the time to get rid of it, you know what I mean? Alright, man. Yeah, these things got a little bit of health here. Died before I staggered him, though. Alright, not bad. 5-star rating still, and a chipped fang. I think I get a preemptive here. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So some of these are going to be tough just because of the way the enemies path, you know, and a lot of times it's not really going to be worth, you know, waiting around for the enemies to path into a good position. I would say anytime that you're fighting an enemy that's kind of like weak like this, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about the preemptive. Like, yeah, you know, if you can, try for it, but also don't wait around forever because oftentimes you probably would have been better off just, you know, initiating right away. Time-wise anyway. But again, you know, really depends on what you want to do there.
Amazing.
So another thing I guess I could bring up with this or these fights is you'll notice here I'm using slash and burn pretty much the entire time, and I don't know, I think it's an okay way to go. I guess if you wanted to, you could try out you could start out in slash and burn, get a couple of good hits on an enemy, and then switch to dual casting if you wanted to, just to you know, try to bring up that chain gauge. The only thing is, again, I'm not really sure if it ends up being worth it a lot of times in the long run, you know, where it may have just been better to stick with slash and burn the entire time. And one of the reasons for that, I suppose, is I'm not sure actually what Lightning's got as far as abilities right now. So what I mean by that is, so right now, alright, so she's definitely equipped with the Gladius and I think a power wristband. So she's really heavy on the physical side, and that's fine, you know, when she's in the commando role, because the attack command with the commando role and blitz, you know, are based off of her attack stats. So there's a good chance that she's making, you know, full use of that stat. Whereas if I was to swap to a Ravager role instead, it may not actually end up doing that well, just because, you know, again, she's more physical based. But the question is whether or not she's got the strike skills. So boy, this gets a little complicated, but so while she's in the Ravager role, if she's using things like fire or arrow or water, you know, those kind of things, those are just magic based spells, and that'll go off of her magic stat. But if she's using things like Spark Strike, you know, that will use her physical stat. So, you know, again, now it depends really on what abilities she's got available to her right now. And unfortunately, I just don't remember. I don't remember what she's got right now. So there's a chance, though, that, you know, I don't know, it could be a wash, it could be better, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter that much, so maybe it's not something that you really need to worry about too much. But I suppose in certain instances it may be better, you know, specifically for like an Alpha Behemoth where it's got a ton of health. You know, for things like these frag leeches and stuff where you really don't care about staggering them because they just don't have the health to have it really make that much of a difference. You know, so there's that aspect, but, you know, again, things like the Alpha Behemoth or something that have a really high stagger threshold, a tactic like that is probably going to be useful. And what I mean by that is, you know, starting out in a slash and burn paradigm and then swapping to dual casting after you've got, you know, a couple of good licks in. But yeah, anyways, that's my 2 cents on the paradigms as of right now. Boy, really not that great of an idea to start out on the Silver Lobo, and now that I'm, you know, watching this, it's I'm not really sure why I picked him first. I probably was just being lazy. But yeah, definitely not a good choice of targets first. I should have really went with those frag leeches, and that's, you know, that's generally a good way to decide your targets, is if you know something's really low on health or has low health in comparison to the other enemies in the area, you're generally going to want to focus them down first, get those, you know, get those sources of damage out of the way, and then work on the higher HP targets. It's like why beat on a tank when you should be beating on, you know, the DPS.
Caged in like the animals.
Caged in like the animals. Alright, here we have the Feral Behemoth. I don't think you can get... Yeah, I'm fairly certain you can't get a preemptive on this guy, just because it's kind of like a cut, you know, the cutscene starts So I think if we tried to, if you hit the retry option, it would just play the cutscene again and basically start you off in the battle right away. But that being said, he's not too difficult. Just make sure that, you know, if anybody gets too low on health there, you're tossing out a couple of cure spells. It looked like at the beginning of the battle there, my characters were just lined up right next to each other. So when he was swiping, he was hitting, you know, both of us at the same time. But that being said, I don't know if Super Soldier probably would have been a good option to start out. Yeah, because look at this. No, lightning is really low. Although, yep, okay. So now he's launched. Now it doesn't matter. So I don't know. Your choice on whether or not you want to do Super Soldier first or not. I guess in hindsight, it probably wasn't that big of a deal. Seemed like we did just fine without. You know, really the key is that launch. I mean, once you get him staggered and he's up in the air, there's nothing he can do. So, Turbojet, nice.
We've tripped the security alarm. The observation battalion will be coming.
Let him come.
Alright. So yeah, again, you know, your choice on what you want to do there. To be fair, though, that fight's pretty easy. Maybe, you know, a little more difficult than some of the fights in the area, but still not something that you need to worry too much about. And wow, this is a huge group. So, excuse me. Boy, if you really wanted to rack up some CP, this would be the battle to do it. I'm not sure how easy it would be to respawn these, but yeah, this would be the one. I'm gonna see here. I'm really curious how much this one's worth. It's gotta be a ton.
I did it.
Luckily, we didn't need to heal. That's pretty close, though. Alright, let's see here. Oh, 260 CP? Oh, I don't know. Is that good right now? It should be good. I mean, that was a ton of enemies. Here, I think I tried to respawn these, but I think just jumping down here wasn't enough. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's a way, or there's a spot that you can run that you can respawn them, but I'm not sure where that is. You know, I don't know how far back you have to go. Maybe if I would have fought that group right there, maybe that would have respawned them. I'm not really sure. To be fair, though, again, now this is another one of those instances where I really didn't feel like it was worth the time. And I mean, honestly, it's because of the same reason as earlier. The frag leeches don't have really a very good drop, so I kind of would just rather not bother.
What's eating you? Okay, I can tell you're hung up on something. Is it the Fal'Cie thing? It's Snow, isn't it? What happened with him?
You wouldn't understand.
You and I are partners, Hope.
My mother was killed because of him. It's his fault. he needs to pay for it. I'm not ready yet, but I will be soon. That's why I followed you. Snow dragged us all into this. You and me, your sister Sarah. He's gotta pay.
That's right, that Snow baddie, he's gotta pay. He's just a big old meanie. Oh man, I'm sorry. Hope you big baby. You shut your mouth. Alright, let's stand around for a little while. Let's do that. Alright, we're gonna stand around for quite some time here, and the following video we'll pick our journey back up, but I'm gonna cut it right here. So like, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. Hope these guides are helpful though, and hope you join me for more. Alright, thanks for watching.